What in the 20s is going
in the
on?
20s,
Think about
yeah.
the 20s.
What
Baby,
plenty, plenty.
What in the 20s is
I
going
am here for
on?
my 20s, baby.
This is the 20s.
Welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Zama Mkize, and this is What's in the 20s, a podcast where you listen to me grow through its baby. On today's episode, we're going to be speaking about how you can't have both. And it's so crazy because I feel like I always keep trying to have both in my life. I'm going to get into it, but I feel like I always keep trying to live two worlds and be a part of two worlds, and it catches up to you, right? So you never really get to have your cake and eat it. And I feel like sometimes it's so hard, but so this episode, right, we're gonna be very real, all right? We're gonna have really an honest chat, an honest conversation with ourselves about things. And I think, the way to put it is we have to be very honest with ourselves about the gap between who it is we are and who it is we want to be, and what is standing in between that, right? And I think I've referenced this quote before in one of my episodes. It's from a book called The Pivot Year by Brianna Weiss, and she talks about how if you keep wanting a bigger life, you can't keep fighting for a smaller one to stay. And I think I feel like that's what happens when we write down our goals, our resolutions, our plans, everything that we desire, and all the rest, is that there are things that we want for ourselves, there are things that we set out to do and to be and everything, but what stands in the way of that are our habits, our daily habits. We are the sum of our daily habits, right? And I think that sometimes we just can't let go of certain things. It's so hard, it's so difficult, it's so why? I know I have that problem. So say I'm gonna take, for example, let's take nightlife, right? I'm someone who, I love music festivals. I feel like I was brought on this earth to go to a music festival. Music festivals make me a better person. I love music so much that going to a concert, a festival, all of that makes me feel so fulfilled, so alive, so just all of that kind of stuff, right? The problem with that is I the next day I am so tired. I'm so fatigued, I'm so worn out. I have the most unproductive day. And so I know that if I go out on Saturday to a music festival, it compromises on who it is I want to be on Sunday, which is someone who wants to make it to church on Sunday in the morning and all the rest. It's I am too tired to get up. I'm too worn out. I'm too, I haven't slept enough, all those things. And it gets in the way of those, of my relationship with Christ or the goals that I have. And those are things that I wrestle with all the time, or if you go out, because there's a lot of Sunday events that happen and stuff. Next thing, Monday, when you have to show up to work, show up to things that you do, you feel so it feels like the most painful experience being in certain spaces, because it's counterproductive. What you're doing is counterproductive to your goal, to the things that you're trying to achieve. Say you want to work out. There was a time where I thought, if I just go to gym, if I just keep going to gym, I can continue eating as much as I want, whatever I want, all the junk food and all the rest, because I'm still making sure that I'm active and I'm keeping, fit and all the rest of what I thought was fit. So I just felt like it didn't matter if I was whatever I was consuming, right? And it's I wanted both. I wanted both worlds. And life doesn't really work like that. And as I say, it's counterproductive to the things that you're trying to do and achieve. And it permeates into so many other things when you realize that the things that you say that you want for yourself, there are things in your life currently that are stopping you from achieving those goals. So say, for example, you want a healthy relationship, a stable relationship, a committed relationship, but you find yourself still contacting your old situationship. You find yourself still contacting your old things that should have been left in the past. Essentially, you find yourself still giving access to those things and to those people and those spaces, environments, foods, all the rest. You find yourself still chained and attached to those things. And I feel like that's the problem too. We are so attached to who it is we are now that it becomes so difficult to build a new life for ourselves. It becomes so frustrating, and you constantly feel like you're hitting a wall because it's so difficult to let go of who it is you are now. It's so difficult to let go. I mean, think about, say for example, if um you have an eating habit where you overeat when you're upset or in distress and all the rest. But now your lifestyle constantly keeps putting you in an environment where those triggers are happening. So, say for example, as I said, you're contacting your old situationship and all the rest. Now it's triggering anxiety, feelings of like not good enough, feelings of wondering, is this going to progress or whatever it is. Now you're in spaces where you're just constantly overeating to kind of numb that anxiety, to numb that pain, to numb that feeling of like what's going on, or you're stressed out about work, but you're constantly procrastinating your work, and so you end up putting I mean, I have that problem. I procrastinate all the time, and it leads me to being so stressed out in life. And when I'm stressed, my quality of sleep is terrible. I end up not resting at all. My eating habits are terrible. The way that I show up in life is terrible because I'm just so stressed out all the time. My mood is terrible. Like, I'm just so unstable. But I realize I did this to myself because I keep leaving things for the last minute. I keep leaving things until I'm so under pressure that I'm just like, like, oh, my life, and I'm like, I end up thinking that I don't want to do this job. I don't want to do this work. I don't want, like, all of that, like all of these negative feelings start to like come up inside of me, and it hinders me from like my other goals of having a morning routine. Like, I know if I'm stressed, I'm not going to be able to show up for my morning routine because I'm too tired. By the time the morning hits, by the time the alarm clock hits, I'm going to hit snooze all the time because I know that I didn't sleep well the night before. And that's the thing, like realizing how everything is connected. And it's like you keep wanting to have both worlds where you get to just, I mean, and I get it, like when you're in your 20s, everything is so confusing because you want to be able to still feel like you're having so much fun. You're like, you're outside, like you're living, and you're, feeling like just living on the edge essentially and all the rest. But you're also like expected to have some sense of responsibility. You're expected to have some sort of savings, some sort of like, if we have to speak about financial literacy, or like just the way in which we may spend financially, what are we pouring our finances into? Like sometimes I think I waste so much money because I don't know, I feel like, oh, let me just pour into this experience and all the rest, but it's like it's not pouring into my growth, and in fact it's countering my growth. It's countering all the other experiences that I could have that bring me closer to who it is I want to be. But it's like now you're pouring. So, say, for example, again, like let's go back to this. If you're choosing nightlife or festivals or whatever it is, now a lot of your money goes into, if you're a drinker, your money goes into drinking. It goes into finding all the outfits you want to wear to these things, to these events. It goes into transport. It goes to like so much that in one day you find that like over 1,000 rand is spent and all the rest. And I mean, I guess if you have that much disposable income, it's nothing to you, But I guess for some people, it's like, oh my gosh, there's so much more you could have done with that. Sometimes I think about like after a week, and when you come back Monday morning and you look at everything you've tapped your phone on throughout the week and everything you've spent on, everything you just like, and you're just sitting there like, why did I do that? Who told me? What made me think it was appropriate to act like this, to behave in this way? Like, who do I think I am? And those are sometimes things that I like sit with and think of. It's like, I didn't need to be this person. And it's like, that's the thing, you sit with so much regret. When you try to live in both these worlds, you sit with regret. You sit with this feeling of that didn't need to happen. I didn't need to be this person. I didn't need to just live my life in this way, but you chose to anyways because you're still attached to like who you are when you get to be in certain spaces and all the rest. And it's difficult. Like the reason why obedience and discipline is so difficult is because it requires us to make sacrifices. It requires us to let go of a version of us that has held us for so long, that we have been for so long, that has brought the people in our lives, that has brought certain opportunities in our lives and all the rest. And so like having like building a consistent regime, that's something that you commit to and all of that, it will always be so hard. Especially if it's a new one, right? Because you're realizing that there's certain things you now have to say no to. And so, like I have to take a moment every time because I'm just like, I don't want to say no to certain stuff. I don't want to not go to certain concerts. Like sometimes every concert feels like, guys, it's a disease. Sometimes every concert feels like the concert of the century for me. Like if you say, oh my gosh, K Tronada's coming, I'm like, I can't miss it. You tell me Godo's coming, I can't miss it. Black Coffee's, I can't. Every time it feels like every event I have to be there. And that's the problem, right? You feel like you're so attached or addicted to your way of living, right? That it feels like not living that way is a disservice to you. It's like, you know what I'm saying? But I'm trying to learn how to say, I don't have to attend every single one. I don't have to honor every single invite. I don't have to accept, not honor, I mean, accept every invite. I don't have to attend every event and all the rest. I can leave some room to um just sit out on it because I know what it is that I'm trying to achieve by the next day or the next week and all the rest and how it compromises on all of that. Like, so say, for example, also, let's go back to working out, right? When you go out a lot and all the rest, and if you're consuming like copious amounts of like alcohol and all the rest, you're so tired that like you just end up not sticking to your routine essentially. And when you do those things, it's like you keep trying to you keep trying to do both, because it's like it's the weekend, you want to go out, and then during the week you want to go back to your routine. And it's like you slow down your growth, you slow down progression, you slow down seeing actual like results in the things that you do and the things that you want for yourself, and you realize you're your own worst enemy. You're what's getting in the way of you. And I feel like that's something I've been struggling with every single time I make goals and stuff like that. At the beginning of the year and everything, it's like I keep having to think about what it is I need to sacrifice and what it is I need to let go of in order to be who it is I want to be. And sometimes the sacrifice feels too much. It feels so big, so grand, and I'm like, I'm not built for this. Like I don't want to do this. But then when I think about the idea of being stagnant and staying in the same place I was the year before, I'm like, it's not worth it. It's not worth being that person again and again and again. You got to think about like what hurts more. Does it hurt more to, begin a new habit and break that cycle, or to stay chained to who it is you used to be? And another thing is we need to think about is that it controls our mindset, the lifestyle we live. So say, let's take an example of you want a healthy, stable, committed, all of that kind of stuff relationship, but you're constantly finding yourself in the quote unquote streets, right? You're constantly finding yourself like in spaces where it's counter it's countering your idea of and it's messing also with your idea of what love is, what relationships are, what commitment looks like, and all the rest. You're in spaces that promotes a different kind of lifestyle. That's what you're feeding your mind, right? Your mind is always listening. Your mind is taking instruction from you, from what you're seeing, what you're hearing, what you're doing, the spaces you're occupying, the words that you say, things that you're speaking into the universe and all the rest. Your mind receives that and tells you that this is reality. And so you will begin to think the streets are your reality. It's also about like being like, who is it that you surround yourself around, right? You will begin to think that that way of living, of talking and doing is the real world. And you will think that it is the whole world. You will think that promiscuity is the standard of relationships and all the rest because it's all you see. But there are good people out there. There are good men out there. There are good women out there. There are good situations, healthy situations that exist, but you might not have access to it because you keep giving yourself into spaces that promote the opposite. And so it's difficult to achieve certain goals when you constantly keep putting yourself in environments that do not promote that, that are kind of working against it. If you're constantly in spaces that challenge the things that you want, you will end up, and especially like what you're feeding into and giving more of your energy to, that's where your attention is growing more, right? Or what is it? It's like where your attention goes, energy flows. And so if your attention keeps going into things that are negative or things that are slowing you down, distractions, habits that are like getting in the way of who it is you want to be, that's where your energy keeps growing to the point where you just end up not achieving any of your goals. You just end up having writing down the same goals year after year after year because your energy keeps flowing in the direction of your habits, of your old habits, and of the old things that you're doing, and the way that you consume things. And like, so for, say for example, my goodness, say for example, you are addicted to your phone. What is it that you're constantly consuming? The news that you're consuming. What is constantly on your timeline and your feed? Because that's what you're teaching yourself is the world. That's what you're teaching yourself is reality. And is it working with your goals or against it? Is what you do first thing in the morning, what you do um just before you go to bed. Like, I have this belief that your morning starts the night before. And it's because, like, if I come home, it's late at night and all the rest, I'm going to be tired the next morning. If I go to bed earlier, um and all the rest, I feel well rested the next morning. Also, emotionally, what are you doing to feed yourself emotionally that by the time you wake up in the morning, you're in good spirits and all the rest? Sometimes you wake up and we're just in the worst mood. We're in a bad space, but it's probably because of what we did the night before, like how we ended the night before. Was there anything that we did to offload the day, like journal, um just engage in practices that like allow you to release? Or are you harboring that energy into your sleep and waking up continuing that feeling of like, I hate living? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is it that you're doing? Like, I think about that all the time. Like, I remember this TikToker, her name Nana, right? She was speaking about Nana Akins. She was speaking about how if you think about she goes, if companies and all of that started planning for the new year in January, it would be too late. Like, it would be so late. It will be too late. Like, everything, preparation and all of that happens before. And so I think about that too when I think about how I spend my weekends. How do I want to start my next week? You have to prepare before. You prepare on the weekend how you're going to start your Monday and Tuesday and all the rest, because whatever that happens on the weekend influences that. And we think we start our week on Monday. Like, no, it's what the activities that are taking place on the weekend are influencing how we perform, our performance level during the week, essentially. And so everything is connected. Think about life like that. Like, I'm starting to really come to terms with the fact that I can't have both. And it's frustrating me, it's hurting me, it's like all of that, because I think for so long I have been doing my best to try to keep both lifestyles, both habits, and this is in all areas of your life, whether it's financially, with your friendships, socially, with your health. It's like sometimes, I mean, some of y'all are vaping to the ends of the earth, man, and it's and it's just it's intense, right? It's like smoking, right? We think about it as maybe it's a social activity and all of that kind of stuff, and we think. And by the way, I'm not trying to judge anyone. This is not a judgment space. Come on, it's a safe space, but we're trying to be honest with ourselves, right, about the things that we're doing that are hindering certain stuff. And you're wondering why your lungs like giving up. Giving in on you. Why does it hurt so much to breathe sometimes? You're just like, what's happening? What's going on? And that's what I mean. Like, you got to think about, like, you say you want a healthier lifestyle, you want this and that and whatever, but there's small things that you're doing and you think it's so small, right? Just picking up that USB and, like, doing that thing. And you think, it's just a small little activity. Like, it's not that deep. And over time, it builds up and you're just finding yourself like going through the most, it's going through the uttermost because of it. And it's just like, there's just things that I feel like we need to think back on what it is that we're doing that feels so small. It feels harmless, right? And that's also the thing also, is our distractions, they don't come to us in a way that you can see that this is terrible. They package themselves in this most, like, in the most beautiful, endearing way that you want it. That's why we are attracted to things that are distractions, right? It's like it's a way of pulling you in. It's like it's enticing. You want it. Those are those skills. Because the thing is, distractions, right? They don't come to us as this ugly thing that we're not attracted to. This thing that kind of feels like, oh, why is this there? Like it's enticing. It's attractive. It's endearing. It's things that look like I gotta have it. Like it's temptations, right? That's the whole point of it. Like distractions, they come in a tempting form. And the reason that it makes it so difficult is because now you're having to build the self-discipline, right? To be able to perform restraint, to be able to actually say like, okay, I don't need to do this as much as I want to. I'm not going to. And that only happens by like actively reinforcing what your goals are, actively reinforcing what it is that you're trying to achieve and do and be. It has to be on your mind all the time. That's also why visualization is so important, having vision boards and all the rest, seeing what it is that you want, constantly saying it back to yourself and over. When you keep reminding yourself, because that's the thing that we do, right? We write our goals, we write our plans, we write the things that we want to do, and then we never look at it again, right? We put it at the back of our cubby hole and we never check out that journal again where we wrote down everything we wanted to achieve. And it's a terrible method, because what you need to do is it needs to bombard your mind until that's all you're thinking about. It needs to be something you're reciting back to you and referencing when you make decisions, because it also helps you make sacrifices better. And it reminds you why you're saying no to certain things, why you're stepping away from certain things, removing yourself from certain spaces. It gives you that confidence to actually be able to, stick up for yourself and stick up for your goals. Your goals need you to fight for them. They're counting on you. They're relying on you to see them, to choose them, to want them. And it can only happen when you actually are engaging in relationship with them, are constantly in partnership with them. Do not cheat on your goals. Do not have an affair on your goals and all the rest, because you're going to end up having to do it again and again, writing it down in your journal year after year. And if there's anything that I'm really just trying to grapple with, is being able to let go of certain things, because I'm seeing how it's connected to everything else that I'm trying to. I mean, last year I made an episode about like how we need to build an ecosystem that supports our goals, that everything that we do in our life needs to feed into something else, that makes it easier for us to stick to our routines, stick to our plans, stick to what it is that we want to do. And I think that's just where my head is at right now, is trying to make peace and acceptance with the fact that certain things have to go. Certain parts of me have to release me. I don't have to be at everything or do everything or try to I don't have to. It's getting in the way. It's getting it's slowing me down, and it's starting to get ridiculous now. I feel like I can be closer to who it is I want to be if I let go of fighting for who it is that I was. And I think things are gonna work out better if I just make that decision, if I just stand on something. You gotta stand for something, right? You gotta be able to just take it on the chin and actually just be like, this is where I'm at now, and this is what we're doing. And build credibility with yourself also. Like actually build a relationship with yourself that shows that you can show up for yourself in that way, that you can do the things that you set out to do, that you will be that. Like if you say you're gonna do that, that you are gonna do that. If you say you're gonna wake up at this time, you're not gonna snooze. Build that relationship with yourself that I guess that is like proof, evidence that you can and you will. As always, I'm sending my love. Goodbye.
What in the 20s is going
in the 20s
Think about
here?
the 20s.
The 20s,
What
baby.
Plenty. What in the 20s is going
I am here for
on?
my 20s, baby.
This is the 20s.